is Shaun Black. I was born in Pietermaritzburg, KwaZulu-Natal, and I went to school in Pietermaritzburg. Grew up in a fantastic family, got one sister. Both my parents also grew up in Pietermaritzburg, and at about the age of 12, I gave my life to the Lord. It was at a youth group, and I was absolutely blown away by just how real God was, being a 12-year-old. And I think as time went on, going through primary school, finishing up in primary school, high school, getting into varsity, I think what actually happened was I wrote God out of my story. And I think God desires to be the main character in your story. I think He desires to us to write the script, but Him to be the main character. And what happened was, as life carries on, I just wrote myself as the main character, subtly into the story. And I wrote things like fun times and what the world has to offer as a fun time. So when I entered varsity, I was a free man, writing my story, writing my character, Shaun Black, into my story. And I wrote in co-characters into my story, which were probably not the right people. The Bible speaks about bad company corrupting good character. And slowly but surely, Christ was just not even a co-actor anymore. He was just written completely out. And I'd almost find myself not really even passionate about Christ anymore, not even worried about what God is saying. And during varsity, I spent 5 years there. I got involved with a lot of drinking clubs, a lot of societies, a lot of fun times, exercising my freedom, getting involved in, really good times. And I think what happens is that we all make choices. And I made a choice after varsity. I was going to move up to Joburg. At that time, I had already decided what I was going to do with my life, and I was aiming for I had been writing my story. And I think on the road up to Joburg, I was in my car, driving up. I had all my possessions in, and God met me on the road near a place called Warden. And He had a God encounter there. He hadn't forgotten about me. And I absolutely broke down. It was almost like God had absolutely reminded me of how much He loved me, that He had chosen me, and I had chosen not to write Him into my story. And at that time, I turned around and I drove straight the way back, and I'd packed up everything, and I went and found God again. And I chatted to a man at the time who was Mark from Pletzen. And I wanted to find these answers to life, and I wanted to rediscover God. And I was quite a debatable person, so I was keen to debate things. And Mark from Pletzen sat me down and he said, "Shaun, you either choose to have a godly family one day and God in your life, or you don't." And at that point I realized that it is us that need to choose God. God has chosen us from a long time ago. He chose us before He even created us. But we need to choose Him. And from that day on, I joined a church. I really got to know Christ again. What the world has to offer is nothing in comparison to what God has to offer. I was 108 kilograms. I had a lot of baggage, physical baggage, as well as just a whole lot of stuff going in my head. And God, slowly but surely, just as I wrote Him as the main character back into my story, He took me, transformed me physically, transformed me mentally. I remember sitting in church and thinking, I don't deserve a good life. I don't even deserve to get married one day. I was an absolute broken person. I remember distinctly feeling God saying, "In this church you shall meet your wife." And I suddenly, after worship, I looked around, and obviously, I thought, well, where is she? Let me start looking around. I saw my future wife across the church, and I knew from the moment I said the first word to her that she was going to be my wife. And we started courting, we started dating. I've been married now for 6 years. Got a 5-month-old boy named Daniel. And I think if I had to really sum up my life, it's about choosing to always write God as the main character, always choosing to write Christ as the main character, because he wants to be the main character in our lives. He wants to start it. He wants to take precedent, and he's worth it. And when we do that, and we just co-actors in it, our lives become amazing, and he will absolutely blow your mind. Just one scripture that I just want to read, that really, when God started to really do some transformation in my life, I read the scripture and I couldn't stop weeping just reading it every single time I read the scripture. But it says in Proverbs, "My son, do not forget my teaching, but let your heart keep my commandments. For the length of days and years of life and peace they will add to you. Let not steadfast love and faithfulness forsake you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart, so you will find favor and good success in the sight of God and man." And that is really just the summary. God has honored that scripture in my life, and I've enjoyed every moment and looking forward to even more.